Have you ever wondered how some people always seem to be on top of things regardless of circumstance? Whether it be the simplest of tasks or in the heat of battle, these individuals never seem to be at a standstill or loss for direction. Are you curious as to how they were able to cultivate that stone-faced, ice-cold under pressure demeanor? I can tell you why. It's because they've been through the ringer time and time again, only to come out stronger on the other side. If you're interested in developing yourself into one of these headstrong types, I'm here to relay how learning from these kinds of folks has educated me throughout life in hopes that I can impart some of the knowledge onto you. We're starting off with the easiest one to put into action. Practice. Simply put, you can't keep your head above the water if you've never touched it before. You will not begin to improve if you don't have any experiment to repeat. Putting the time into your task is a must. We often fear what we don't know or understand, and we can't possibly hope to understand what we avoid. By purposefully putting yourself in the adverse conditions you want to perform in, you at the least get a baseline to work off of. You know where you're starting now. The journey of 1,000 dead robots begins with a single bullet. Understand, development takes time. It's not an overnight process. We all learn at different paces, so there's no need to rush yourself. But there is a necessity for you to understand that the road is bumpy. You are voluntarily repeating uncomfortable circumstances. It's not gonna feel like a walk through the posies. Understand that there is no limit to how much you will practice. Keep on trying to shatter the glass ceiling above you and move on to the next one, because you will inevitably become better after every try. Nobody is ever going to achieve perfection, but that should never stop you from striving to be better than you were yesterday. Now, despite you likely being uncomfortable, that's the whole point, this one is a very big deal, so you're going to learn to live with it. You need to calm down and quit being such a spaz all the time. Practice and experience are your best friends. Panic is your greatest enemy. In the best of circumstances, panic makes a mess. In the most dramatic of them, it gets people killed. Instead of freaking out, disconnect yourself. Take a big step back, observe everything that you can, decide your next move, then go back into it. For you anxiety-ridden individuals, I did not say dissociate. Dissociation is bad. We do not want to leave and have the problem figure itself out. We want to find out where the root of this problem is and how to mend it so things may keep going smoothly, or how to avoid it in its entirety. It's easier said than done. But the way to fix it is block out your feelings, whether they be fear, uncertainty, or otherwise, by taking a moment to yourself and coming back into things logically instead of emotionally. You don't need to quit and come back. That's an overcorrection. You can do this in the middle of the chaos. Don't overthink. Just think. I know a lot of people conflate the two, and it's hard to distinguish sometimes, but just take a deep breath and focus up. I'll pose you a little theoretical situation here. You're pinned down and you're running out of supplies. You know you're supposed to shoot robots in the head, and you know you're supposed to try to stay behind cover. There's no reason to overthink that. You don't need to think about it because your body can go through the motions and figure that out itself as if it were on autopilot. As you're doing that, hanging behind a rock in between shots, that is your time to explore your options and think about how you're going to fix the present issue. At the end of the day, all of your options boil down to degrees of fight or flight. I play aggressive, so I close in on my enemy to finish fights, but I know a lot of people who like to run away or hunker down as well. That is simply a matter of taste. Whatever you most prefer in the moment or whatever you feel most comfortable with, go with that. The one thing you must not do is allow yourself to be overwhelmed with the possibilities. So take them one at a time and learn where your strengths and preferences lie. Don't be afraid to branch out and try new things either, because if you don't, there's no chance you will learn whether or not you like to do that. Okay, kiddos, listen up, it's learning time. Understand that throughout your life, you will make innumerable mistakes. We all do. But that's okay. Making mistakes is the best way to learn what we need to change or develop about ourselves. Here's some things to do when you make a mistake. First of all, you need to acknowledge it. Recognize that you have screwed up. Don't be in denial of the fact. And don't be afraid of them. They are going to make you better. They serve as a learning experience. Be inquisitive. Go ahead and ask some questions to yourself or others if you can in efforts to find out how and why the mistake was made. Do everything in your power to figure out what went wrong so that you may begin working it out. Take some time with this step, okay? Learn everything you possibly can about how you screwed up. I want you to squeeze every last drop of information out of your error before you're on to the final step of this process. Once you have done that, you simply let it go. You have used it for all of the good it is worth. There is no reason to keep on hanging on to your mistakes. If you eat an orange, you do not carry the rind and the scraps with you for the rest of your life. Treat mistakes the same way. Gain your educational nourishment and move on from them. Do not grasp so tightly onto your mistakes that you cannot let them go, or criticize yourself so harshly that they develop into insecurities. If you are so lost that you don't even know how to identify when something has gone awry, there's a couple of things you can do in order to file it down. Some things looked at on face value alone may not seem related, but they could be caused by the same or similar sources. See if you can draw correlations between the different situations, and if there are any, that's a good weak spot to target and strengthen. If something goes down and you can't figure out in the moment where it all fell apart, sit down after the event and take it piece by piece until you can identify where the wheels started to fall off. Maybe it was a teamwork error caused by a snide remark. It could have been the result of getting staggered by poor positioning and it snowballed out of control. In any case, figure out what started it and workshop ways to prevent it happening in the future. Take into account that you are not the only guinea pig out there. You have the ability to observe others as well. The only reason I got good at player versus player games was not just analyzing my own mistakes, but instead studying others jacking it up as well. The last way you can strengthen your problem-solving skills is simple for some and quite difficult for others. You need to swallow your pride and ask someone for help. I'm sorry to say, but none of us are brilliant little sparkling snowflakes who are the paragon of human excellence. Our greatest asset is each other and the ways in which we can collaborate to achieve greatness. There is not one single individual in the world who has nothing left to learn, nor will there ever be over the course of human existence. The greatest tools any of us can have are an open mind and a willingness to learn. And by searching out this video, you've already proven that you have both. Just as you may observe others making mistakes, they can do the same for you. If you feel as if you have screwed up or failed in one sense or another, ask someone you can trust to give you an honest answer to provide input as to where you went wrong. With the help of an outside perspective and a genuine drive to improve yourself with enough dedication, you will absolutely find success. My final note as I wrap all of this up is that watching inspirational or educational videos is simply not enough. Whatever it is that you are struggling with, enough with the indecisiveness. Start taking steps towards getting it done. Challenge yourself. Don't completely break your back doing something wildly out of your depth, but go experience some difficult shit. You cannot properly grow and develop in this venture if you never make an attempt to see just how good you currently are. One of the most powerful statements I have ever heard came from Bob Ross, of all people, and it went a little something like this. Talent is a pursued interest. Whatever you have the will to practice, you can do. If you were waiting for someone else to tell you to begin, that was it 30 seconds ago. It's not going to happen again. I appreciate you giving me your time, but now it's time to get out there and start taking your first steps. Good luck.